So I asked my client this question one time. What would happen if I gave you 10 new clients right now, today? Top paying premium clients, not just the little
Mhm,
like peanuts clients. They're the top
mhm,
level clients. Gave you 10
mhm.
right now, onboard them. And she said that she would run away. So that's the indicator,
Right.
right?
Welcome to You Are Buzzworthy.
The biggest winners in business are those who can distinguish between growing their business and scaling their business. I would be very curious to hear your definition right now, but that's not how this all works. But a lot of you don't think there is a difference, and to those who do, may have it little twisted, especially if you run a service-based business. I know I had it extremely twisted for a long time. I thought more was more and that all roads and graphs pointed up once I reached my first million in annual revenue. But service-based businesses don't work that way because they rely on human effort and expertise, neither of which are what we call scalable. So are service-based businesses doomed to low profitability, or is there a way for them to successfully scale? That's what we're going to talk about today. And to help me is Veronica Kirin, a serialpreneur who sold her tech company in order to teach small business owners the 10-hour work week. She is also the author of an award-winning anthropology book, Stories of the Elders. She has been named the Forbes NEXT 1000 entrepreneur and BEQ's 40 LGBTQ Leaders Under 40, and has spoken at 2 TEDx events. Welcome to the show, Veronica. How are you today?
I am great. Hi, nice to see you.
It's good to see you now. It is late in the evening for you, not so much for me. You're in a secret bunker behind the walls deep inside Berlin, Germany. Is that correct?
I think bunkers here look a little different than what I'm in right now, given the history. Yeah, I'm in Berlin. I am in a tech office with a colleague and friend, and we're wrapping up work. I am here to turn off the lights tonight, basically.
We'll know why, if the lights go out, why that happened then. Okay.
No, yeah, I know. We just had some like snow rain something happen outside. So I don't know what it's like where you are, but we haven't had snow until now.
Oh, whoa. Berlin. I thought it snowed on a regular in Berlin.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Oh my gosh. I gave everybody the 411 on you. And when I was talking about the fact that you had already sold a business. And so, and it was a service-based business, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to dive right in talking about scaling service-centric business. Both of us have background in that, and we're both very passionate about it. And of course, I want to hear all about your 10-hour work week. But first, I want to get out of the way the difference between growing a service-centric business and scaling a service-based business.
I think that there are a blend of opinions and facts that come into the answer to this question, because I often hear people talk about scaling only from the marketing side, and I come at scaling from the ops side. And so when I hear people saying, oh, we're growing, I'm like, great. So like your revenue is going up year over year. Things are looking good. Acquisition is nice, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Scaling for me is the very structure of the business. And we're talking about getting the CEO out of the freaking way of the business. And that's the grease wheels that then mean you can go like this. And if you're not going like this, or if you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose, you probably haven't scaled.
Right. No, I totally agree with you there. I think that there's times where I have had people, clients come, just like, hey, I'm ready to take it to the next level. And they're solopreneurs. And I'm like, so I literally had a conversation with this young lady one time where she was like, yeah, I want to do 20 clients. I'm like, 20 clients. Okay. How many hours a week are you promising to each one of these clients? Yeah. And she said like 4. I'm like, you can't do 4 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, It came out to like, I think it was like 4 or 5 hours per month per client. I said, when you do that though, you're going to be taking up 95% of your time because there's only 40 hours of work
So
there.
where does the business development go? Where does the
Where's your
operations
admin,
go?
your
Where's the
invoicing?
sales? Yeah, like none of it. I see that a lot actually. And it's like the Julia Roberts math meme. Like they're just suddenly figuring out that this isn't possible. Here's the thing. It is possible to take on 20 clients. You got to scale to do it. And so then who's going to be doing the work, or how are you streamlining the delivery of the information or the services to them? But in my opinion, you don't have to hire to scale, at least not at first.
Perfect.
But we got to get you out of the way. So there's got to be some way to deliver the services, which is big fan of AI here. We've got to create the systems and the support so that you can deliver your services, hopefully in your sleep. That's the ideal.
Right. No, I totally get it. I think that technology is a way to delegate without hiring. I totally agree with that. I mean, and with AI right now in the marketing world, it's huge. But operationally, it's been a big deal. Like just a few years ago, I took on Gusto, which does our payroll. And I mean, we used to have platforms to help us onboard, but there was still a lot of button pushing where like now my executive assistant like pushes a button and an email goes out. The next thing we know, they're ready to get paid. Right. People are ready to work, and it takes no time, right? So for $5 per person, we don't have to worry whether or not things got done. And if they don't do the work, obviously they got to fill out their forms and stuff like that. There's still that manual input, but that's not us doing it. That's not us tracking them down. It's all automated, right? All that automation is part of that. In the marketing world, I'm finding that AI is leveraging our time. And I think that in the operational world, I think that's it's going to get better and better because it's easy to do it in the creative sense, right? It's like, here, pull some information, regurgitate it this way, right? And then we have to human optimize it, right? Yeah. But what are you seeing in AI for the ops world? What should we be looking for as far as that goes?
Well, I want to remind people that AI is not new. So when everyone's like, oh my God, ChatGPT, paradigm shift, I was like, ChatGPT is the first publicly accessible algorithm. Google has been doing this for years. Why do you think you can type a question into Google and get exactly what you're looking for? So like, this isn't new. This has been going on for 20 years. You just have access to it in a new way. Right. I'm a really big fan of doing the best you can to connect all your apps. And so, way back in the day, we were just starting out with Zapier and just building our own automations. Now, a lot of the apps in the ops world are already automated themselves. Depending what industry you're in, there's probably an app that is industry specific to what you're doing and will help you automate at least half of the processes that you are working on. And then the rest of it can be done with something like Zapier. And so I really want to see that automation coming in. And it is AI, but it's, at least with Zapier, it's like a rudimentary API AI powered.
Right. I think we're getting way too techie for my listeners here. So I want to bring us back to the difference between growing a company and scaling a company, in your opinion.
So really, it does come down to the internal structures of the company itself. So I asked my client this question one time: what would happen if I gave you 10 new clients right now, today? Top paying premium clients, not just the little like peanuts clients. They're the top level clients. Gave you 10 right now, onboard them. And she said that she would run away. So that's the indicator, right? Like that to me, I love that question because it's the checkbox. If you can't say to me, oh yeah, I would just, like you just said, click a few buttons and everything would start. And then we would be able to start getting them what they were paying for. There's a problem. So to me, scaling is about getting the CEO first out of the way and then getting the people, if there are people, out of the way as much as possible so that the work can be done without, bumping into memories and time and all these other things that make our lives clunky and unreliable. If you can't use AI or automation for that, that's okay, because there are some things that just can't be done yet by tech. So that's where your systems come into play. It should be like dominoes falling when you onboard a new client. That's how well your business should be running. And in order to scale your ops that way, you've got to really get yourself out of the business, get your brain out of the business. So bottling all of the systems that are already up here, right? Because if you've done it once, the system is already built. You just haven't written it down. Get it down, get it automated as much as possible, and then get somebody else involved for the rest of the pieces so that you can go take a vacation and grow exponentially. So scaling to me, like I said, with that graph, it's all about exponential growth. If I can't grow you exponentially right now, then there's something in the way and we need to scale you.
Right, exactly. I tell people, I'm a big fan of the E-Myth, big fan of Clockwork, E-Myth by Michael Gerber, for those who haven't read that one yet. Clockwork by Michael Michalowicz. There's a lot of them out there, right? But those are my two favorite. And early on in my career, in my entrepreneurial career, I used to give E-Myth out to people.
I have a friend who does that too.
And it was because there were people who weren't ready to work with me because they didn't understand how to delegate. So they wanted me to work on their marketing stuff, but they didn't want to delegate it in a way that was healthy for both of us.
Yeah.
Right. It makes no sense for people to hire professionals if they can't get out of the way. And they had that mentality of, well, nobody can do it as good as me. And I actually did a podcast on 80% is good enough. It's okay.
Yes, because when you have two people doing it at 80%, you now have 160%, which is more than you had before. So you're able to grow more than you were able to grow when you were just on your own. So you're always going to have a better experience.
Right.
I actually had to break up with a client. She wasn't willing to release to people. And we oh my God, we worked on her ops so much. We got everything smoothed out, from automations to AI to systems. It was all well documented. And then it wasn't just that she didn't believe that the work could be done as well by somebody else. She was actually rather disparaging, and she had a bad experience. I get it. But we circled and circled and circled. And finally, it just came down to the point of, you've talked yourself into a solopreneur box, and that's fine. If you want to stay there, that's fine. And that's what she decided to do. So she fired everybody, and she went down to what she could handle herself. And she just lived within that financial limitation, that this is how much I can take on. So this is how much I will be able to make. And yes, we'll grow with inflation, but that's about it. And that was her happy place. Fine.
Yeah, that's a lifestyle business, and I tell people, it's like, if you want a lifestyle business, it's great, because, there are people who they do it really well on their own, coaches, consultants and stuff like that. They don't want a lot of people around them, slowing them down, if you will.
Right.
And there was a time where, I closed my creative agency. I was like, I'm just going to do this with me and maybe one or two other people. Right. And some tech stuff I don't want to have to do, because I just don't like mashing buttons all the time. And then somebody to answer the phones, take care of the clerical stuff, because I don't like doing that stuff, and I just really nitpicked, like, okay, these are the things, this is the bare minimum, right? I got into my office, and about a week into that, I was like, hell no, this is not going to work for me, because I'm an entrepreneur. I like building things bigger than me, right? And I like people around me, because that's me. That's my personality. I'm a social being, right? I don't work well in a vacuum. Like, I can go tuck myself into a corner and write a book in a couple months. Yes. But I know where the end is. I can see the end of that tunnel.
And
so I know that the people are on the other side.
And
right.
You still see the light of day.
Yeah. Right?
For sure.
So when do we want to start looking at the difference between getting everything done, because more is not more, right? So is there a time in our business cycle, our life cycle, that we should be looking at scaling?
So I'm going to be contrarian again, and I say starting scaled. We want to scale from day one, in my opinion, because I didn't have any clue as to, I didn't even know that I could scale, frankly. I grew up my business in 2012. The internet was still a little bit young, right? It wasn't the youngest, but at that point, like...
Wait, hold on a second. Before you go further, I started mine in 2005. You want to talk about a young internet?
Yeah, no, for real. But I was also in a very conservative city, and so I was the only woman in tech,
Oof.
and I had a very hard time finding a mentor. There weren't even coaches in 2012. Like, coaching was not hardly an industry back then. And so it just kind of passed me by that that scaling was possible for me, because when I heard about scaling, it was always in reference to startups, and I wasn't a startup.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward 3 years, and I was very, very, very burnt out. And I didn't
Mm.
realize what technology could have been doing for me. I didn't know how to stack my systems so that I could get out. And you mentioned the
Mm.
10-hour work week. Like, I didn't know how to do any of that, and I had nobody to show me. Finally,
Mm.
I did find a mentor who was a startup mentor. And
Nice.
he was willing to take me on. And that was the breakthrough moment where I said, okay, I'm going to take these principles, the startup scaling toolkit, and use it for myself. But so that's why I'm so interested in starting businesses scaled. I want the
Mm-hmm.
principles of scaling. So not necessarily from the marketing side. Remember, there are people who
Mm-hmm.
say
Uh-huh.
scaling is only marketing. It's
Mm-mm.
not.
Mm-mm.
I'm interested in the ops of scaling being incorporated in the business from the get-go, so that burnout isn't on the menu.
Yeah, I love it. Originally, my company was a recording studio,
Mhm.
and I was the talent. But in the first day, I had somebody making phone calls for me to get more business, right?
Fabulous.
Right. Like, there wasn't enough days, and I was still working 20-hour days at that
Mhm.
time, but that was the gig, right? The first year of my existence as an entrepreneur after the Air Force was like work. That's all we did. I just worked. I had just gotten a divorce, and I didn't really have anything else except that, because I didn't have any money to go spend anywhere. So the only thing I could do is work, right?
Yeah.
Luckily for me, I was a workaholic. I'm actually a recovered workaholic now. So
Good fix.
there's some days like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's like, I should be working another 2 hours, but I'm not. Where's the guitar? I'm gonna go play
There
guitar
you
until my
go.
wife gets home,
Bro.
right? So, but with that said, I think that operationally we can also get bogged down with not getting those SOPs out there, not delegating enough,
Yeah.
not allowing our people to make decisions for themselves, right?
Right?
Right. And so this
Ooh,
is
go
leading me to my
ahead.
last question, because I'm kind of leading you on this one, because I want to hear what you say. What are the first steps besides the tech side, in the human side? What are the first
Oh,
steps? I know I'm not going to give you that
you
crutch.
throw me a curveball, because my first step is automating the heck out of the business.
Yes, I get that. But I think that that's one of the things. I mean, we touched on it. It's great. But I think this is the harder question, right? And I think this is a question that needs to be answered.
Yeah.
What are the first steps on the human side of scaling our businesses?
Honestly, it's about that mindset first. So a lot of us start our businesses and have special snowflake syndrome. We believe that we are the only ones, and I was this person. I was the only anthropologist in tech that I knew of. I was the only one trained to see my clients the way that I did. How would I ever hire that out? Blah, blah, blah. Enter my developer, who, by the way, found me, right? The universe was like, stop with this bullshit. Here's somebody who's better at you so that you can go and backpack Europe for 3 weeks. But I had to get out of my own way. It's the mental paradigm shift is what changes everything. And I couldn't get my client there, right? So like, she did not want this mental paradigm shift to begin to rehire. She refused it, even though she verbally said to me, I'm hiring you so that I can, right? She just refused. And so that, for me, changing your mind about what is possible for your business and for your life, rather than believing only what you have seen, that is the major shift that needs to happen in order to start scaling.
Where is your mindset within your business? Who are you surrounding yourself within your business? And have you made the paradigm shift to a scaling mentality, or are you still the bottleneck to your business's exponential growth? These are hard questions, and I hope you take the time to dive deep and answer them for yourself. The more of this internal work we do on a regular basis, the better our businesses will be for it. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please be sure to like and subscribe to the show. And until next time, stay buzzworthy.